introduce our student speaker. This is a person chosen by her peers to speak on behalf of the class of 2017. Cambrie Nelson's MBA degree will be her second degree from Washington University. She earned her undergraduate degree in anthropology here in 2009. She won honors for leadership, scholarship, and community service back then, so it's no surprise that she returned to campus and immediately jumped into those roles again to have an impact on the school and her classmates. She has been a teaching assistant, president of Net Impact, student government, vice president of diversity and inclusion. She's also appointed to the representative university-wide diversity commission. And certainly we know she's had a much greater impact on all those ways that we can't name in those positions on your conversations with you every day. She'll be joining Accenture in September as a healthcare and public service management consultant. Please welcome Cambrie Marie Nelson.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dean Dirks, for the hearty welcome, and a special thank you to family and friends who are joining us here today. I must take a moment to extend my gratitude to those who compose the Olin family, our administrators, professors, faculty, staff, donors, and auxiliary staff who have offered their time and talents in the service of our learning. And last but never least, I'd like to thank and congratulate my fellow classmates. I will regard the next few minutes with extreme humility and quite a bit of deep gratitude. By now, we are pros at graduation speeches. In high school, the message was likely, go, immerse yourself in the next steps. For college graduation, the message you likely heard was, do, use your knowledge, gather experience. But graduate school is different. It is intentional, it was chosen. And today, many of us, having accumulated a healthy mileage of work and life experience, today what you'll hear from me is be. But who does one be? How does one be? I actually decided to come to Olin because the answer was clear. Be a leader who lives a life of impact. Olin championed the belief that it was not necessarily business that solved all problems, but rather leadership. Over the past 2 years, the core curriculum has shaped my core. The courses imbued me with not just practical skills, but with quite a bit of understated vision, wisdom, and profound guidance to help me learn how to lead a life, community, and organization full of impact. So I'd like to reflect a little bit more deeply on just 3 of these core classes, with hopes that they'll illustrate what I perceive as the value of an Olin MBA. I'm going to start with everyone's favorite, statistics. Stats taught me quite a bit. It taught me how to be aware of the magnitude of impact I can have in the world. Now, it might not seem like I learned a ton from stats by what I'm about to say, but I promise you that I did. What I learned from stats is that sometimes there's often data that really is just wild. It lays outside your normal distribution. We call these outliers. We're taught to disregard outliers, to keep from skewing the data. But outliers, I think, are where things get interesting. It's where innovation lays, and it is where leadership can be. When I was a history teacher, the greatest thing I learned is that the world didn't just happen this way. People made it. And not just ordinary people, but the outliers were often the ones who decided to shape the world that we know, for better and sometimes for worse. This pattern, I believe, extends to business. The ways we do business is not inherent, but it's created by mere mortals. Trust me, I know. All the case studies we've read have provided an unbelievable understanding of how the world has been. But I think that now we have the opportunity to create new case studies in which we are the protagonists, outliers who shift the tide of where the collective actually flows. While stats taught me to be aware of the impact I can make in the world, it was accounting that taught me how to be committed to manifesting this impact. Wisdom that the pulse of a business is captured in the balance sheet, which is composed of assets, debt, and equity. Now, like many of you, trust me, I've had plenty of time over the last couple of months to think about all the debt I've accrued. But I've also accrued a different type of debt. I've accrued a debt to my ancestors and to my family, who have offered unconditional love. I've accrued a debt to many of you, my friends and my professors, who have poured time and time again into me support, knowledge. And I've also accrued debt to those individuals who have really offered access to the powerful next step in my career. So what have the last couple years been about? The last few years have been about offsetting this debt by acquiring assets in the form of experience, education, community, and personal growth. We're moving on from Olin. And I think that this is a time where we can consider that one of the main goals of businesses is to create shareholder value, equity, and to somehow disperse this value back to the world. Dividends. Got that right? Kidding. My challenge to myself as a global citizen, which I extend to all of you, is to not live as though I am a privately held company, but to remember to contribute to societal equity and use business as a tool to create greater balance in the world. While accounting taught me to be willing to pay dividends back to the world around me, it was operations and supply chain management, or ops for short, that taught me how to be in continual pursuit of a life of impact. High school students, there are certain things we know how to do very, very well. One of those is procrastinate. Operations showed me the perils of this through teaching a phenomenon called the bullwhip effect, which simply describes how small patterns established at the onset, just a flick of the wrist, can have magnitudes of effect later on, resulting in a long crack of the bullwhip. I've already experienced this. I've experienced the temptation of saying, I'll spend more time with my family or have a family when I reach this certain promotional point. Or, I'll give back to my community when I make X amount of money. But the bullwhip effect, I believe, personally, reminds us to be intentional about setting up a life with priorities that mirror our values now, because we may not have the opportunity to change them so nimbly in the future. We have choice and agency to endure the hard work of harmony. So there's urgency over the next few months. As we rebuild our worlds anew, we must think about building one that generously gives to the things, the people, and the causes that we value. And so we commit, ready to be something new. In class of 2017, we will be. We'll be bankers and consultants, entrepreneurs and managers. We'll also be partners and parents and citizens and humans. And I can guarantee that we'll be confused and confident and afraid and loved. I do wish us all of the success in our livelihood, but more so I wish us success in our living. What interests me is not how you spend your days, but how you really truly spend your lives. So here's to going and doing and being that which you would become. It will be hard work, but as Kid President says, if at first you don't succeed, you're normal. I love you all.
And while Cambrie is with us, let's also note that she is the recipient of the Paul Cuffey Award, the MBA Award for Outstanding Leadership awarded to the graduating African-American MBA student for leadership, academic excellence, and involvement in Olin extracurricular activities. Congratulations, Cambrie. Cambrie Marie Nelson. Deanda Venice Harris. Tony Sean Newber, Knight Scholar, Beta. Daniel Henry, Beta Gamma Sigma.